This conference will now be recorded.
All right, well, let's get started. This session will be recorded, so anybody who joins later or wants to come back to it will be welcome to enjoy it. Welcome to another Knowing Technologies Spark session. For those of you who aren't familiar with Knowing Technologies, we're an educational technology company that works with schools to expand opportunities for empowered learning, collaboration, and innovation. And we do that by delivering strategy-driven services. We work with school administration to help them identify how technology can support their vision for teaching and learning. We provide back-end managed IT services to support the infrastructure for that vision. And then we have an instructional innovation coaching program that works with teachers to help them build the skill set and the confidence to deliver on that vision. So you're looking, my name is Elaine Wren. I'm the Director of Educational Leadership and Strategy in Southern California. And I'm a member of this talented coaching team that spans the range of K to 12 across subject areas and general ed and special ed. We normally work in a cohort-driven model where we work with teachers across the course of a year for a sustained professional learning experience. But in the last month, our world has changed, as has yours, and we've jumped into working with our partner schools and working with all of the faculty to help them in the transition to remote learning. So what we have been doing these last couple of weeks, along with coaching the faculty in our partner schools, is we've been offering these Spark sessions. And the idea behind them is that they're small bites of information. They're half an hour to an hour each. Today's will be a half an hour. We invite you to add questions in the chat window. My colleague Crystal is on the call, so she'll be helping me a little bit monitor those chat questions. Again, we record, thanks Crystal, we record all of the sessions, so you'll be able to go back to them, as well as the resources in the slide deck. If you're looking for some of the resources that I'm sharing, you can access them at bit.ly/K Spark 323. I know some of you have been at this for 3 or 4 weeks. Some of you are just getting started, and this is, we're all in this new world together, and everybody is doing the best they can and really stepping up to make an impact and support our students. And so just remember, you got this. We're here for you, and there's an entire community out there supporting you in this new order of remote learning. If your school's interested in a more customized coaching solution, please feel free to reach out at info@knowingtechnologies.com. So today's Spark session is getting creative with videos using Clips. Clips is an app that comes for free on the iPad and iPhone. And what we've been noticing in some of our coaching sessions over the last couple of weeks, for the teachers who've been at remote learning already for 3 or 4 weeks, they started off with just the basic, using their webcam or using their iPhone and recording themselves talking to their students. And that definitely is meaningful for the students to see their teachers, but they're starting to feel like they want to step it up a little. They want to have some additional supports for their students in their video lessons. And so Clips is a really great resource for you to use to create lesson material, as well as for your students if you're in a school that has a one-to-one iPad program, or you have students who have iPhones at home. This is a really great resource to use, both for you to share with students and for your students to share their understanding with you. So we're going to have a little bit of time to talk about why even use video, why Clips in particular. We'll share some ideas and examples, and then give you a live tutorial of how the app works, so that you should know enough to be dangerous to be able to create a Clips video at the end of this half hour. So I'm going to jump over to this slide deck with some examples and resources, and also some directions. I may not look at all of the slides with you today, but know that it's a resource for you to go back to. So, one of the first questions is why use video? And when I say beyond just using video of yourself, but why use video that maybe integrates some other modalities besides just you talking on video? Using a combination of visual images and text can really help the students make associations between what they're hearing and they're seeing. It can be a great tool for asynchronous lesson delivery because students will be able to go back to it and refer to it. And by augmenting video of yourself with some descriptors and text and images, it can make it a more meaningful learning experience for the students. And then it can really be a powerful way for your students to demonstrate their understanding. There's a lot of conversation about assessment and what that looks like in a remote learning environment. And video is a really great authentic tool for assessing student understanding. From a student perspective, in terms of their engagement, when they're creating videos and they know that it's going to be for an authentic audience, maybe they're going to be uploading them to Flipgrid so that their classmates can view them. It's definitely a more motivating experience than filling out and turning in a worksheet. It gets the opportunity for students to get up and moving around in their environment, and that's a really important thing for us to be thinking about as we have students sitting for a good part of the day. We want them up moving around, and this gives you the opportunity to do that as well. And then as far as the videos that you create and videos that students create, it gives them the opportunity to actively interact with concepts and content rather than just passively receiving information or doing recall exercises and worksheets and whatnot. And so I really encourage you to think about how you can use video as well as how you can have your students create videos. Now, why use Clips? This is one of my all-time favorite apps. I love it because it's very easy to create a polished product quickly. I've done a lot of video editing in other programs, and some people find that to be imposing. I think you're going to find with Clips that you will feel like you can create something that looks great in a very short amount of time. It's a great tool for all ages. Kindergartners can use it, and college kids and everybody in between can use it across subject areas. In addition to just having video, it has the ability to add emojis, labels, and stickers. And these are things that kids love, but there are also things that you can use to emphasize concepts and content. There's an aspect called posters that I'll share with you that allow you to create some nice text backgrounds. And then there is the ability to add music that just fits itself to the length of your video without you having to do any editing or any work in that area. Another thing that I absolutely love about Clips is a feature called Live Titles. What it does is if you film a video in Clips, it will automatically create titles for you. And this is really important in terms of accessibility for students with hearing loss to be able to have that text support of what's being said in the video, but also for English language learners, for emerging readers. There's been a lot of research that have shown that captions can really be a positive learning support. And this is something that's built right into Clips. And again, I think I mentioned before, it's a free app that works on the iPad and the iPhone. So I have this slide here just with some examples and ideas for things that you can do in terms of video creation. And I have some examples that I'll share with you, and we can come back to them later. But you can really come up with creative ways to use video across subject areas, whether it's you demonstrating a concept, students telling a story, you taking a piece of student work and giving them feedback, having students reflect on their learning, finding examples of vocabulary and terminology in their environment, bringing history to a moment in history to life. And in world language, another feature that is really awesome about Live Titles is that it will actually recognize speech across multiple languages. So I encourage you to come back to this slide deck to look at some of these ideas, as well as to explore some of these resources that Apple has created in their Everyone Can Create curriculum. They have some really great resources and ideas for you to use as well. I want to share an example of a lesson that my friend Carolyn Skiba, who's a technology specialist at Burley School in Chicago, Illinois, created. And this was like a 4-minute video. And so I edited it down a bit just so that you could get the gist of it. And so if there's a few abrupt transitions, that's because of my editing, not because of her performance.
I'm going to show you screenshots of how to get around in Google Earth, and you will be doing some searching today and being able to virtually visit some places that maybe you wish you could visit in real life right now. So I want to make sure that when you're using your comments, you're following a couple important rules. Rule number 1 is to make sure that your comment is on topic. Thing number 2 is your comment should be specific. That means you're saying exactly what you mean in detail. And of course, they're kind and friendly. You will be sharing comments that will help everybody learn and share. Now, here's a quick introduction to Google Earth. Here I am in Google Earth, and you can see I'm looking at Chicago. To search, you tap this small magnifying glass and then type what you're looking for in the box. I'm going to start with Burley School. Tap on the name of our school, and Google Earth will magically take us on a virtual visit to Burley. Next, let's go for a virtual walk. Tap the little person, and you'll notice the streets turn blue. When you tap on one of those blue lines, Google Earth will zoom you into Street View.
I'm going to pause it there. So what you can see here is she's incorporated some live video, but then used some of the stickers and emojis and labels to be able to accentuate the main points of her lesson. And then she took a screen recording that she did demonstrating Google Earth, and again was able to use some of the labels and stickers that are built into clips to accentuate the points of her lesson. Finally, the live titles provided that text support for students who may not have understood exactly what she was saying and would just be able to have that other modality of receiving the information. So what I'm going to do right now, I have some student examples as well, and hopefully I'll have time to share those at the end, but I don't want to run out of time to actually demonstrate the program to you. So what I'm going to do is jump out of this slide and into my iPad, and I'm going to find Clips, which is this little camera here. If I couldn't find it on my iPad, I could swipe in between the applications and then type in Clips, and it would come up for me. So when I first open Clips, I have all my projects up here at the top, and I'm going to click on Create New. What I see here, rather than seeing my forehead, is, hold on, let me get out of there. This area right here that you see my lovely face on is called the stage. And then down below, you see the area where you're going to get content to put into your video, your camera, your library, or your posters. The pink button is for recording video. The little rainbow star is for effects, and the speech bubble is for live titles. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go into posters. And the example I'm going to use is, I think, something a lot of people have been doing. I've seen a lot of people do it on paper, is having the students go on a scavenger hunt in their neighborhood. And maybe there's a list that the students have been given that they need to be looking for. So in posters, I can choose any of these backgrounds. And when I tap on it, it'll download. And then I can change the text to whatever I want. So I'm going to type in neighborhood scavenger hunt. Now that I've actually written that out, I want to record it into my video. So I'm going to press and hold down on this pink button for as long as I want the clip to last. And when I let go, I'll see that there's a little clip down here. When I tap on the clip, I can see that I have some editing options in the clip. So for instance, if I wanted to make it shorter, I could trim it. I could even make it longer in the trim option. So I'm going to apply that. And when I'm done with that clip and I'm ready to add another clip, I'm going to talk to you about some of these other things later. I'm going to go to Done up in the upper left corner. And now I want to go to my camera. So I can take the camera and I can take a photo or I can record video. So I'm going to say, these are the things that I saw when I walked in my neighborhood today. So now I have a little clip of me. And what I want to show you now is the live titles. If I tap on live titles, you'll see the text of what I just said. These are the things that I saw when I walked in my neighborhood today. If there was a typo or anything, I could just tap in there and I could edit that text. And then when I'm done, the other thing I want to do is choose the style of live title. So I have different places that I can have the live titles appear depending on the effect that I want on the video. I probably don't want it running right through my face. So I think I'm going to choose the one that goes along the bottom. So now when I play that little clip back, these are the things that I saw when I walked in my neighborhood today. Okay, so that's how simple live titles are. Now I'm going to show you in a minute how you can also change the language. So now instead of recording from the camera, I want to choose from my photo library. So let's say that I want to get a picture of this yellow flower. I choose it, I can resize it. And then when I want to record it, I'm going to hold down the pink button. Now let's say that I want to inject a little bit of Spanish in here, and I have very limited experience. I have junior high Spanish, but I'm going to go here and I'm going to say, I'm just going to say the color of the flower because that's about the extent of my knowledge. So I can choose Spanish, and now when I hold down the button, I'm going to say amarillo. And amarillo, I need to choose a live title, and it should recognize amarillo, that word for me. I've done live titles in Chinese and Greek. I know a few words in each of those languages, and it's recognized them perfectly. So let me go back to my library, and let's say that I want, one of the things that the kids had to look for were people on bicycle. So I'm going to choose that picture, get it the way I want it, hold down the button, and say bicyclists. When I go back to that clip, maybe I don't want my voice saying that because I'm going to just use the live title to do that. Oh, except for I didn't switch to English, so that didn't work very well. So I'm going to go back out of here, change to English. And I'm just going to delete that clip. And then I'll go back and record it again. Bicyclists. And now I have it in English, and I'll choose my style. Now maybe I want to go into effects here and I want to add some emojis. I'm going to jump over here to sports, and I can choose some different bicyclists to add to my scene. I can move them around on the screen, and I can resize them as well. And now when I play that clip, bicyclists, the emojis will be there. But I'm going to turn off the sound. I go back to my library, and let's say I have some neighbors, some friendly neighbors. Friendly neighbors. For this one, I'm going to turn my live titles on, turn my sound off, and I want to use a sticker that circles something to really emphasize it. So I take that circle, I'm going to move it up and over my neighbors. And now that is added. If I go back to the library, I have a picture of some dog walkers, but I don't want to, I want to, in this case, I'm going to record dog walkers. And now I want to go to effects and I'm going to use a filter because I didn't ask people guys their permission to use their photos, so I don't want anybody to be able to recognize them. Actually, I did ask them and I told them I would obscure their view. So now that filter is applied and it's a cool effect. Trying to think of other things. I'm going to go back to done and maybe add one more thing. I think text. Well, let's see, we'll choose my dog here. Okay, and I'm going to trim the beginning of that because she really wasn't performing at the beginning there before she started wagging her tail. I'm going to apply that. And in this case, I'm going to go to effects and I'm going to go to text and I'm going to add this little guy here and type happy dog. And turn off my sound. All right, I think that I've shown you most of the different effects that you can use in clips. The final thing that you might want to do is add music. So up in the upper right-hand corner, there's a little music note here. And if I go to soundtracks, there's a bunch of video that has no copyright restrictions. And so you could choose, you can choose a style audio that you like. And once you choose that, it will literally match the audio up to however much video you have. So it's going to match it up to what I have here. If I add 2 more clips, it will actually adjust that so that it fades in at the beginning and fades out at the end. So it's beautiful. I'm not a terribly musical person, so I love this feature. Okay. The other thing too that you can do is if you decide you want your video to go in a different order, you can grab a clip with your finger and just drag and drop it and reorder your video. When you're done, you tap on the little share sheet or the Share-O, I like to call it, tap on Save Video, and it will export that video to your camera roll, and then you can airdrop it or upload it to your LMS. So that is a really quick tour of Clips, and I see that we have about 6 minutes left and some questions. So I'm gonna go back to the questions. Does Clips exist? It is only an iPhone and iPad app. If you want the students to create with it, then they would need it. But like I said, it's free. It's a free download from the App Store. There's no classroom code. It just lives on their iPhone or their iPad. So once they've created their video and exported it to the camera roll, then they would take that video and upload it, whether it's to Seesaw or Google Classroom or Canvas or Blackbaud, however they would submit it to you. You're welcome. Hopefully you can do a lot more creative things with Spanish than I did. Students who don't have iPhones or iPads would not be able to access this app. I'm not aware of an exact equivalent for Android or PC. So if your school is a school that's a one-to-one iPad school, for sure, this is something that you could suggest kids use. There are other, there's an online app called WeVideo for video creation. So it's certainly something that you could offer as an option for students to use. And it's something that if you have an iPhone or an iPad, you could definitely think about. Have they added any option for collaborative work yet? I don't I'm not aware of any options for collaborative work. That's a great question. I think at this point it would have to be, students making different segments of the videos and then sending them to each other and combining them, but that's a great question. Let me go back here. Are there any other questions or comments? Because I can share a few student examples with you in the couple of minutes that we have left. I don't see any. So I'm going to jump to definitely, Tom, I am a huge fan of iMovie. I started using it the day that it came out and I loved it. But I think that Clips has a much lower bar and entry level for video creation, that anybody can use it without really feeling that it's a lot of work to learn. So I agree with you. And I love that you can literally have it on your phone and create videos while you're out and about. So I'm going to share just we have a couple minutes, so I'll share a couple of examples with you just to get some creative juices flowing. This was created by Simon Pyle. He's an assistant head teacher in London, and this was a math example. So you can see how this could be applied, whether it's world language vocabulary or language arts vocabulary or math vocabulary, having kids go out into their environment and identify concepts and then demonstrate their understanding of them. Oh, I see somebody just downloaded Clips. That's awesome. Here's an example from English Language Arts. This is Larry Reef is a language arts teacher in New York, and he had the kids create a video of a conversation between the characters in Romeo and Juliet. So you can see there's a lot of thought going here in terms of the kind of conversation that may have occurred in modern day between these characters, and then using the features of Clips to bring that to life in some kind of a text message conversation. The next example is actually from one of the teachers who's on the call right now, Teresa Peters. She teaches science at Mayfield Senior School in Pasadena, California. And in this project, she encouraged students to use images that were in their camera roll or go out and take pictures in the environment to demonstrate their understanding of some of the science vocabulary they were learning. So hopefully that gives you some ideas of different creative ways that you can use this app and how simple it is to get started. I encourage you to come back to these resources in the slide deck to get a little more, some new ideas and inspiration, as well as some direction. These Everyone Can Create guides are free for download for students and teachers. And so you probably will find some ideas here that you can even use with your students and that they can use as a resource as well. I thank you all for joining me today, and look forward to seeing you at another one of our Spark sessions. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you all for joining. Thanks.